In 2008, for the first time in history, half of the world's population lived in urban areas. 1 billion of these are children. In most of the poorer nations, children living in isolated rural areas also lack access to water, sanitation, and health services. Nearly 8 million children died in 2010 before reaching the age of 5, largely due to pneumonia, diarrhea, and birth complications. Some studies show that children living in informal urban settlements are particularly vulnerable. It's up to us to live up to the legacy that was left behind for us, and to leave behind a legacy worthy of our children and future generations. The Bernard van Leer Foundation and the National Institute of Urban Affairs is taking this very thought forward and starting the process of change for the children of India, right here with a conference on small children in big cities. This is the space where we're going to be discussing the problems, the issues, the concerns, the solutions, and the way ahead.
So one of the things I'd like to see work through this conference is how we might practically, but also theoretically, come to terms with what it means for a child to live in a city.
I look forward to better outcomes from this conference and recommendations.
Conference, I think, surely is very, very crucial and very important, because it actually brings in children at the cynosure of all the activities.
There's always hope when you have organizations like the National Institute of Urban Affairs and the Bernard van Leer Foundation coming together towards a cause with so much passion and diligence. And joining us today at the Small Children Big Cities Conference is Baroness Julia Neuberger from the House of Lords. Thank you so much for joining us, Julia. I'd like to ask you about the role of the Bernard van Leer Foundation, specifically in a landscape like India.
Okay, well, the Bernard van Leer Foundation was set up by some very far-sighted Dutch people who really believed, before the evidence was there, that if you really want to make a difference in a society, you have to invest in the youngest children. Now we know that to be true. We know that the neural networks for children multiply incredibly quickly when they're, before the age of about 7 or 8. But then they just sort of felt it, and they felt it to be true, and they set up a huge charitable fund with the, if you like, the profits from their business to do this. And then in India, we've had the chance to, if you like, collaborate with wonderful not-for-profit organizations that already exist here, and have been able to work with Dimitri Patnaik, who is our person here in India, and make extraordinary alliances and actually influence what happens in policy terms and work with people to really improve the lives of young children in India.
It's so nice to have you with us, Julia.
Thank you very much.
But it's time for the conference to commence, and that's where I'm going next.
Since our foundation began its work 65 years ago, children's lives have changed a great deal. Having gathered together great leadership, great expertise, and great partners, I have great hope for this conference. I hope that it is the beginning of a wave that starts in India, but in time reaches well beyond its borders. A wave that helps put children's experiences in the minds of all people who plan, who design, who build, and who live in cities.
Smart, child-friendly cities, very great idea. Because the children are pure, they are innocent, they are innovative. And now, going by the present trend, they are brilliant. They have great ideas. So we should learn from their ideas also, take clue from their ideas, and then try to reach their aspirations. I always feel a politician, a minister must always go on learning, 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 not earning, but learning. So I have come here to learn, understand, and then I will be eagerly waiting for the conclusion of the conference and its recommendations. As a minister, I can assure you that the recommendations will be given serious thought and they will be implemented in the full state.
Since this conference is happening in Delhi, I thought let's engage with this context. Let's understand what Delhi is all about and what its planning means for children. The vision of the Master Plan of Delhi till 2020, with the perspective to 2020, is very clear. It talks about Delhi as a global metropolis and a world-class city where all the people would be engaged in productive work with a better quality of life, living in a sustainable environment. What is new in this 2021 master plan as compared to the two other master plans that Delhi had produced? Very clearly talks about decentralized local planning through a participatory approach. Has that happened? No. There's a lot of talk about big data in smart cities to provide insight on children's issues and living conditions of all children. We feel, who are working in this field for a very long time, that children themselves should be involved in development of robust evidence bases through digital mapping platforms using mobile and web applications, and map their own communities and environments and report on them. Use social media. You create these children, legitimize and create children's networks at the neighborhood level. You federate them at the ward and city level. Use social media, the potential of that to the fullest, to connect and dialogue with city officials. And you also initiate periodic review and update of master plans, which is mandated, but it never happens. Thank you.
There's a lot more that needs to be done for children in big cities. And there's a lot more coming up right after this break. There's been a growing realization that planning cities for youth and children is not just the need of families and communities, but also an indicator of good governance. And so cities across the globe have been trying to adopt child-friendly norms. And this next session on practice and innovations is an attempt by us to identify just those things.
I'm really grateful to NIUA and Bernard van Leer Foundation for taking this dialogue forward along with UNDP and others, because childcare is not something that just women have to do at home. We're trying to integrate the needs of our children as our cities grow and prosper, and rightly so. Children are our collective responsibility, surely. I'll just finish off with some of the lessons learned, because I think it might be relevant to the discourse as we are launching on urban planning with children hopefully in the center. That investment in early childhood is key. It has to be a part of urban planning. We've waited far too long as a country. The costs are not high. The costs of inaction are higher. There are ways to cut costs. There's so many challenges. I think we have to understand that childcare in a holistic way is poverty reduction. The other important thing that we have found, and we have been saying this in different fora, public health, nutrition and so on, that if you have these centers locally, in the very neighborhoods where the poor live and work, then actually you can work to reduce malnutrition. Because what happens is that these children are taken care of, they're fed regularly, and we know if anyone's tried to feed young children, that it takes time and a lot of persuasion. The last few points I've already mentioned about ensuring school going, but also in a study we did recently, those who were exposed to early childhood development and care, there was a much lower rate of dropout. Also, this could be a very big source of employment for urban poor women. They take to it with great commitment, I would say, and dedication, because they're taking care of their own children and their sisters, their neighbors, their cousins, and so on. I've already mentioned childcare is a good entry point for overall urban community development and integration of communities and communal harmony. Thank you very much.
There's so much detailing that goes into making our cities safer for children. And then, given the Indian nuances, it doesn't make this task any easier. To speak to us now specifically about the India context is Ms. Dharitri Patnaik, the India representative of the Bernard van Leer Foundation. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'd like to talk to you about the challenges that you face given the Indian context.
I think I would address it differently. I mean, there are always challenges, there would be challenges. I see opportunity and hope. And with the government announcing about 100 smart cities, 500 other cities to be redeveloped, I think there's a huge opportunity for us to tap into and leverage. So we should make sure that whatever the government's designing, we have our child-friendly components in it. We have to ensure that our children are key participants of that process. And we need to kind of build the capacity of both the government officials, our urban planners, other stakeholders involved in this. Yes. So I see great opportunity. I don't see, I mean, challenges will always remain. We are a huge country, we have so many issues, but I don't want to dwell on the issues. I think I've been telling everyone, carpe memento, let's seize the moment, because I think it's a great moment with the commitments we have from our leadership.
And the amazing communication that has started thanks to the conference.
Thank you very much.
हम बच्चों के हिसाब से हमारी अच्छी सिटी बनने के लिए हमको 5 मुद्दे चाहिए, मतलब हमको 5 चीज़ें चाहिए। वो है कि पहली हमारी जो बस्ती है, हमारी स्लम के एरिया में हमारी प्लेग्राउंड रहने चाहिए, 24 घंटे पानी आनी चाहिए, 24 घंटे इलेक्ट्रिसिटी रहने का सुविधा रहना चाहिए। और हमारी जो सिटी है और स्लम के अंदर हमको मतलब कोई जो डिफरेंस टाइप की जो रहते हैं, मतलब अलग अलग की देखते हैं कि ये स्लम के बच्चे और सिटी के बच्चे, उसे नहीं देखना चाहिए। मतलब हमारे अलग अलग स्कूल होने चाहिए। हमारे लिए प्लेग्राउंड के साथ साथ हमको खिलौना चाहिए, हमारे फुट ओवर ब्रिज रहना चाहिए।
The growing years of a child set the foundation for his or her latter years, and so it's important for all of us to get together and fix what is not right. So what is the plan ahead for the future? Well, I have with me here Mr. Jagan Shah, Director of the National Institute of Urban Affairs, to tell us the plan for the future. Welcome, sir.
Hi, good morning.
So what is the plan ahead?
Well, there are a large number of things that we need to do. One of the first things that we should be doing is to help guide the contours of the Smart City mission that is being launched by the Government of India. And in doing that, to look at child-friendly cities as a model. It is a theoretical model right now because our cities are not presently child-friendly. So how to make them child-friendly is going to be a sort of laboratory exercise. And we need to think about policies, we need to think about frameworks, how to intervene in the existing environment of policies and regulations and so on. So that's one of the major tasks.
Small children in big cities are affected by all aspects of cities. Lack of access to clean water and sanitation, overcrowded and poorly constructed and maintained housing, lack of good quality and timely primary health care, lack of safe public spaces to play, lack of mobility for the parents of young children and the transportation for children themselves. Experts from various walks of life gathered at the conference to discuss these issues and find solutions to these problems. One of them was about design and implementation of child-friendly houses.
We are in the private sector. We want to make money. If we don't make money, we will not survive. How do we make money? Actually, we'll make money by making child-friendly cities. Yeah, because if my customer realizes that my product is child-friendly, I'll be able to sell it better. And very briefly, I'll tell you about what we do. We make cities. I hesitate to use the word smart cities, but we make cities in India. The first one is in Bangalore. We'll make 5 more. We also make mass housing, affordable housing. And in both, we want to work with a certain minimum scale. So our cities are 100 acres plus, our mass housing is 50 acres plus. And the design objective for our city in Bangalore, we spoke to a lot of developers, a lot of architects, a lot of master planners. Our design objective was that a 6-year-old girl should be able to walk to her school without any adult supervision. That was the design objective. Suddenly, it's no longer about 3 BHK, 2 BHK, it's about how you design public spaces. We in the private sector will make more successful businesses if we talk about child-friendly cities. Thank you.
When we are talking about open spaces, it's not a luxury, development right. Yes, it is a right of every child. They are citizens, so they require everything as much as everybody else requires. So can we also work on one norm saying open spaces are non-negotiables? Every community, be it posh middle class localities or upper middle class or elite colonies or slums, every child in a city has got a right to an open space. So we are looking at different kinds of open spaces. Play spaces, large play spaces in the neighborhood, places to confer, places to sit, places to hang around, and places where they can actually have a game, where they can actually play. We are looking at multiple kinds of spaces when we look at open spaces. We as duty bearers have a responsibility to fulfill our promise of a good childhood for children, because children's today is as important as their tomorrow. Let us not wait for tomorrow to provide a playground. What about today? Are we telling them that your today is not important, tomorrow we will give you a playground? That is not being fair, that's being extremely unjust. Thank you.
Well, to my mind, what is most important from the children's perspective, from the urban planning, number one, the topmost is the security. The child's safety and security. While the planners are making any plan for the city, urban cities, the safety and security of the child should be kept at the topmost, because the life is the most important. 2 is your health. That's the next important, because children are very much, children, we need to take care of their health, because that's their strength, that is, if they are healthy, they will be able to spend the best of their capacity in their upbringing. And health comes from hygiene, cleanness all around, whether in the house, on the roads, in the school, in the playground, anywhere. Hygiene is the most important, that solid waste management. What is the focus of our present Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji? That is cleanness everywhere, and to make sure that in next 5 years we achieve that mission, and we will achieve that mission. I have a full confidence that we will achieve the mission. We will, all the citizens of this country will achieve this mission, that in next 5 years we will be as clean as I experience in Sydney or experience in any parts of the world when you go. Health also comes from recreation, that we are able to spend some time on playing, doing some, some kind of bringing out your that child's that playful creature within you. Whether you dance, you play, you do any kind of sporting, that facility should be there. That will keep you healthy. So that is another concern. So there should be enough playground. There should be enough places where they can just go sing, but just open out. And the last, one of the most important is he should also be included in the part of the whole design. He should be asked the question.
The choices that city leaders make now will have a direct impact on how the process of child development unfolds and what kind of contributions these children can make to India's urban prosperity. Bernard van Leer Foundation and the National Institute of Urban Affairs has definitely made a worthy contribution towards a worthy tomorrow. Because like I said right in the beginning, it's up to us to live up to the legacy that was left behind for us, and it's also up to us to leave behind a legacy worthy of our children and the future generations.